help me out. So today we are talking about something super cool, resistant starch. If any of you are familiar with that, then drop a 1 in the comments, let me know. But there are different, you hear starches, you hear carbs, you hear sugars, and I know it can be all very overwhelming. I know that keto is a huge thing nowadays. You're trying to figure out, what are my macro ranges? Should I do high carb, low carb, no carb? What do you do, right? And every single person is a little bit different in what their body needs. So there's no one size fits all with nutrition, unfortunately. You have to find what works best for you. But I'm here just to kind of explain today what this resistant starch business is all about. And if you do follow me, you know that I am super strong in believing in the glycemic index. So just a brief run through of the glycemic index. It was created for diabetics initially, and it's a ranking system of all foods that do contain carbohydrates. And so it's a measure of how quickly that food will impact your blood sugar. So if you eat the food and it's high glycemic, you're going to eat it, your body digests it quickly, spikes blood sugar quickly, broken down quickly, and it's going to have a quick rise in blood sugar, therefore quick spike in insulin, because the job of insulin is to bring blood sugar back down to baseline. When you're eating high glycemic, you have this going on with blood sugar, insulin levels stay elevated, putting us in a fat storage zone, okay? And it can lead to a whole bunch of other things like type 2 diabetes down the road. So why we want to stay low glycemic, multiple reasons, one being fat burning, one being blood sugar regulation, being insulin sensitivity and not resistance, and that can all aid in reaching your goals and feeling good, at the end of the day. So when it comes to starches, we really want to be aware of the types of starches to consume and not consume. And this kind of fits into play because it's showing you how foods are either going to be broken down very quickly, or they're not going to be broken down at all or very slowly. And so resistant starch is a great thing, not only for fat burning, not only for reaching our goals in terms of, muscle gain and keeping that lean, sculpted look, but also for our gut biome, okay? So everything is tied to our gut, not just going to the bathroom. Depression, all the things are tied to our gut, okay? So this is there are 4 different resistant starches, but starches are basically the glucose forms stored in plants. So when we eat the food, obviously we're not talking about meat, we're not talking about anything other than plant-based, because that's where carbs come from. When you do consume a meat, it doesn't impact blood sugar because it doesn't have carbohydrates. So that's why meat is low glycemic, because no impact on blood sugar. Although when you do consume anything, even if it is straight protein, the digestive enzymes do have a minimal spike, or because of the digestive enzymes, I should say, there is a minimal spike in insulin just through that process of digestion. So when it comes to when we're eating starches, this is my molecule. This is my 10-piece molecule, okay? So you're trying to break down that food. You're eating something starchy, something with carbohydrates, and you see the molecule has multiple parts, right? So if you break it down, that's a regular, normal starch. And depending on where it falls on the glycemic index, if it's high, it's going to be broken down really quickly, spiking blood sugar. If it's low and it's healthier, which is getting into what we're going to talk about, then it's slowly digested, and there's more fiber in that food because fiber is a non-digestible carbohydrate. So that's why it's so important to look at that nutrition label, and you're going to look at the fiber content. You're going to subtract that fiber from the total carbohydrates. That is going to give you your true net impact carbs. So it's very crucial that you don't just focus on total carbs. You're looking at the overall by subtracting the fiber. That is really truly what is impacting your blood sugar and what really matters. So when you can't break down these molecules, that is what is known as a resistant starch. Okay, so there's 4 different types. Resistant starch 1 can't be broken down at all, okay? Indestructible, it just passes through our body. So nuts, seeds, legumes, which nuts falls into that category, grains, RS1. RS2, chemically indigestible. So initially it starts breaking down, but it can't get through the whole process. So green bananas, raw potatoes. I always tell my clients, I give them a list of foods ranked according to the glycemic index. And if you're consuming a banana that's on the greener side, of course you don't want to eat like a straight dark green banana because it's going to be very bitter, but more tart. I don't really know how to explain that, but it's not going to be that delicious. Very minimal in the sweetness department, and you can taste as the banana does get riper and it gets browner, if that's even a word, that it's more sugary, and you can just taste the difference in it. So when it's green, it's so much better for you as opposed to further down the line, because the glycemic index does increase as it ripens. So keep that in mind as well. RS3, this is a really, really cool one, because this is where you're going to be able to hack your way into eating some of the foods that you love and you know that probably aren't that good for you. Because, for instance, if you are going to take rice, if you're going to take pasta, if you're going to take a potato, and you know, because I tell my clients, white potatoes, high glycemic. White pasta, pasta is a little bit different. Pasta does have a good amount of protein and a little bit of fiber, so it's about medium on the glycemic index. And if any of you guys want information in regards to the glycemic index or anything, then drop a 2 in the comments and I can contact you with more information. If you're looking to expedite the process and you really want a game plan for yourself. But when it comes to white anything, it's going to be higher glycemic. White rice is something I never have my clients eating. But I understand a lot of people love white rice. A lot of people love white potatoes. So if you heat that food, and another thing that I want to hit on is that when you heat a food in the microwave, it increases the glycemic index of the food. Because again, if you're going to cook something really quickly, high heat really quickly, it's going to be digested really quickly. So remember that when it comes to quick oats, anything quick, you can cook it in a snap. It's probably going to be digested in a snap if we're talking about carbohydrates. So when you are heating the food, if you can do oven, if you do crock pot, anything like that, then when it cools, you let it sit out. Let's say you're at a barbecue and they're grilling baked potatoes and you're like, I really want that. If you let it sit and you eat whatever else and you just kind of like let it sit there, mingle around, then you eat it when it's cool, your body is going to view it completely different than if you would have it right off of the grill. So when it cools, it's called retrogradation. I have it somewhere on here. And it's the process of that heating and cooling and how our body breaks it down entirely different, and it doesn't get broken down nearly as fast, and it's considered an RS3. RS4, synthetically created. So that's not something that you can just get from food. It's created elsewhere. Okay, so the thing about all of these is that they all create short fatty acid chains in the gut. And so this is really good because it aids in our good gut bacteria. And so you have good gut bacteria, you have bad gut bacteria. And so you really want to make sure that you're doing everything in your power when it comes to the foods that you're eating to create the good bacteria and to balance the two, because I think so many times we just hop on the bandwagon of popping the probiotics and the prebiotics because this person told me to do this, and we're forgetting about the food. But if we focus on food, we focus on just keeping it simple, then you can eliminate all those other things until you might really have an issue from outside factors. But I am a firm believer that you shouldn't have to touch these supplements until you are well aware that you're doing everything in your power with the food. And then at that point, turn to the supplements. Okay, so that's my opinion. So hopefully this helped. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. And again, thank you so much for watching. If you do want to expedite the process, you want to work with me one-on-one on nutrition, exercise, both, one or the other, then drop a 2 in the comments. See you later.